Hi everyone. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're gonna get started in a second. Hello. Thank you all. I hope everyone's having a great day, or night wherever you are in the world. And yeah, we're gonna get started super soon, but thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to be talking about today's specific um, sort of topic for Global Hack Week regarding social good. So, as you all know, past live streams have also been about how I've been working with nonprofits, and not only that, but making software for them, and now how we can make our code accessible for as many people as possible, because that is always the goal, to make sure that everyone is using software that uh, that they're going to enjoy and have it be memorable and useful. And of course, with that comes the design implementation of everything. So pretty hyped to talk about all of that. So I'm so done here. Let me see if we can change that. Oh, okay. Yes, I'm a little bit more higher now, so everyone can see me. Okay, we're gonna get started in a little bit. Let me go ahead and pull up the slides for today. Also, I feel like I almost always forget this. Apologies. Let me go ahead and also share um, our link for checking in. So yeah, basically talking about code semantics today and how we can um, make sure that we're able to build and see designs and code that other people are going to be able to access. So I just dropped the check-in link for everyone who wants to check in for this stream in particular. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see. So I'm going to pull up my slides. But yeah, like I said, I hope everyone's been having a great day. I know mine has been super busy, hectic, um, but I'm really excited for our stream and hopefully probably getting some work done by the end of the day. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, code accessibility and human-centered design. Let's talk about a little bit about what that means. Okay, so yeah, what is web accessibility? So, yeah, how the website looks, right? So this is kind of a little bit of a sort of what we can infer from web accessibility. So how does it look, right? So we have high color contrast, our text size, and then not always relying on color. And we'll see an example of sort of what that means. And not only that, but how the website is developed. So what best practices are we using for our website? And like in code as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. And also, just all in all, designing for accessibility is really not that hard. It's really something that you can always just go ahead and implement alongside your regular, coding, like style, I guess. It's just that sometimes we don't learn this in school or our classes, and it's important to note. But yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the words or buzzwords that you'll hear when talking about accessibility. So the A11Y Project. So it just stands for accessibility. So you'll see this numeronym, and hopefully maybe I said that right. It's representing the 11 words, the 11 letters in the word accessibility. So it starts with A, ends with Y. So yeah, it's basically something like, for example, like WW2, or 181N, which just means internationalization, things like that. So other numeronyms are that are common. But yeah, this is basically a website called the A11Y Project, the A11Y Project, and they have a bunch of different resources and tools ranging from books to colors, typography, browser extensions that sort of promote this mission of accessibility and how you can continue doing these practices in your life relating to web development and design. So yeah, not only this, I'm going to talk about how this relates to human-centered design, which is a problem-solving technique that puts real people at the center of the development process. So for everyone watching that is just very like code-oriented, doesn't really do design work, this has to do a lot about how you develop your code and how you are developing solutions or projects for things that you might be interested in. So yeah, it enables you to create products and services that resonate and are tailored to your audience's needs. So that's always super important when thinking about what it is that you're building and for who, and keeping in mind the users that are going to be using that or your software or product. So there are 4 different phases in the human-centered design process. So this is clarifying, ideation, developing, and implementing. You'll mostly see the use of accessibility with the develop and implementing, but really keeping this in mind throughout the entire 4 phases of HCD is going to be important for when you're developing your software product. So yeah, it's clarifying, conducting user research, of course, making sure that you are aware of your audience and what is out there on the market and who is doing what. Ideation, so overcoming that there is only one way to come up with a solution. So we might sometimes be in this like tunnel vision of there's going to be only one way that we'll see something happen, or there's only one solution to like this problem. But in reality, it's kind of overcoming that during this process or this phase of HCD. So yeah, just coming up with a tons and dozens of ideas on what it is that you want to make. So I'd say definitely a really big important step. And then of course is developing. So taking in mind desirability, so what is out there on the market, how is your product going to be standing out from everyone else's? And also feasibility, so not only that, but how easy is this going to be to give out to users, customers, consumers? And then viability, so how is this important in like the real aspect, right, of either your certain industry. And of course, meeting user needs. So making sure that this product is going to satisfy everyone that you want to approach with your product. Yeah, and then evolving. So of course, how is this going to change and how are you measuring for scalability? So once again, also very important. These are the 4 different phases of human-centered design, and we'll see how to do steps 3 and 4 a little bit about accessibility, developing, and developing the product, and not only developing the ideas, but the product, and then also implementing. And I guess while I say like I drop in like the word product or software, this can really just mean like your own personal project, the way that you approach certain things. These are things that can definitely help you stand out in like interviews and things like that, because as a developer, as maybe you're going into a software engineering job, like who else is thinking about accessibility, right? This is something that is sometimes left on the back burner of many places. So yes, let's talk about some other words or terms that you'll hear. So we talked about A11Y, and then now what WCAG, WCAG, WCAG. So however you'd like to call this is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So what this is, and just again, super high level list of rules that makes internet content available for everyone. So hopefully this doesn't sound too intimidating, but yeah, it's basically just making sure that everyone can see and access your site. Um, and what you'll see here sometimes is like WCAG 2.1 or 1.0. Those are just like the standards of WCAG. So they sometimes change and update as time goes on. And you'll see level AA. So for web accessibility, you have three different levels. So there's 1A, level just 1A, which means that like you're not up to par with web accessibility standards, or like you are slightly. So double A means that you're meeting web content accessibility guidelines and it's all good. And then level triple A means that you're going above and beyond, and this is um, just more than enough for compliancy for these standards. So 2.1 has a specific list of standards on the w3.org website, and you can see a list of all of those there. And of course, we'll be covering a few, but yeah, it's basically the 2.1 standards is that information and user interface components must be presentable to users in ways that they can perceive. So that is exactly what level AA means. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about maybe some essentials. So if you get anything out of this Global Hack Week stream of mine, is that there are 10 different essentials and questions to ask yourself as you design and develop a web app. And this can be not only just designers, but developers too, because it takes in mind as you maybe are developing projects and personal games, things like that. You are also acting as designer too, because you need a UI for your backend, things like that. So yeah, these are just different questions to ask yourself. So page title, information structure, headings, semantic markup, which we will talk about, and then of course legibility. Does the page have enough contrast? And we'll also talk about how we can check that. Readability, languages, excuse me, links, image alternatives, so those alt texts, and then media alternatives. So yeah, so there's also links to where I got all of this sort of information on the slides. These slides will also be available on my own website too. Okay, so yeah, let's talk a little bit. These are just design. I sprinkled in a couple design tips, and then I sprinkled in a couple coding and developing tips too, since I claim to be both. So for designing tips or making an application, so that means just not always rely on colors. So you'll see here maybe this shows status for like two different things, but with like labels and text, you're able to decipher that. So sometimes you forget about that when designing because we want something to look great or cute, or adding text is going to make it like look bad, but it makes your design more accessible to have labels, and colors are going to be an asset, but not necessarily the determining factor. Like let's say, like also you'll notice maybe like on Notion boards, there's like status tools that not only just have color, but have describing exactly what that status is for a certain data field, things like that. Oh, yes, we have a question. What advice would you give to a person who has a web app idea but no programming skills? Hire a freelancer or learn to code? I think this really depends on what the purpose is. So if you sort of have like an idea from like the business side, you want to make this grow bigger, I'd say definitely like hiring maybe a freelancer that you can work with to create or like have this web app happen, things like that. If you're wanting to get into programming and want to learn a little bit about what like that logic stuff of creating maybe like a web app, but not it's not really like the main purpose of what you're trying to do. If you have maybe some idea that you want to push, I'd say that would be hiring or working with a developer. But learning to code is definitely a personal skill that you should be something that you want to do for like your own purpose. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean if you have an idea and you think you can turn this into software, doesn't always mean that you have to learn to code if that's not something you're interested in. Okay, let's go on ahead to the next design tip. So yeah, so another thing that you might notice is on a lot of form fields, for example, they'll have like a placeholder in here, so it'll say full name, it'll say last name, things like that. So that's not always a great thing because if you've heard of screen readers, screen readers are devices that sort of go ahead and read what is on the page of different websites. So that isn't something that is necessarily going to be read out loud to a person who is blind, for example, and using a website. So while a placeholder is visually nice and maybe even nicer than having labels on form fields, definitely not something that you want to do because form fields are going to make it accessible for someone to input any information, essential information that might be needed. So yeah. Okay, yeah, and then once again, also, if you're a designer, of course you are aware of Figma plugins. So using use contrast, and then my favorite one I have been using is the A11Y color contrast checker. I've used this in my last stream for making an accessible mobile app, and this was really helpful because we were able to see the contrast ratio, and you can also see the different levels. In the WCAG compliance sort of like skill level thing. So yeah, definitely important to consider, and also will be helpful for when you're designing. Yeah, so start with Figma, use plugins to transfer it over to code. Yeah, for sure. Yes. Yeah, browser developer tools. I know there's different like VS Code extensions for sure. Also, I know A11Y does also color contrast checker as you code as a VS Code extension or a package too. So yeah, definitely those are some additional ways to check color ratio and everything. But yeah, this is from the web, I believe, yes, AIM.org, so WebAIM, and they have this like really nice web accessibility for designers infographic that I sort of just dropped here. So these are some examples of that. Can screen readers read the words in the fields, or should we write the text outside the fields? Yeah, so the screen readers aren't able to read the placeholders or so like the inside of the field. So yeah, it has to be sort of like you have to have the names outside. That way the screen reader can read that. And I'll actually show an example of how that looks like in code later on. Yes. So yeah, this is something if you just search up web accessibility infographic for designers. These are just like the main things as you're designing to keep in mind for web accessibility, that if you're doing developer handoff, this will be something important. Yes, so let's get on to some coding tips when making an application. So this one in particular is actually also design related, but also coding, because when you're designing and creating a focus state, this means that you may even have noticed this yourself. You may have used a tab to quickly go switch to another field when you're filling out a form or like pressing enter. The focus state will be highlighted, so this means that you didn't hover over it, but you're not actually clicking it, so it's just in the focus state. And you'll see here, these are just some examples of when designing and also coding if you're not necessarily grabbing this from a like following like a Figma design or anything, but here the focus state isn't really visible. I can't even in my presentation, I'm not sure if you can even tell that, but yeah, if someone is using just their keyboard to switch between using a website or accessing different things on a website, they might not even be able to tell what they're on. This one here, for example, has that Facebook logo. The entire color logo, excuse me, has changed. So this focus state here is clearly visible, and we're able to tell that your tab key is barely on that. And if someone wants to access, for example, Facebook website, they can do that. Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, so the really important part and the one that I really wanted to stress today was the alt tags on images. So I remember when I was learning to code, I didn't really know the purpose of these. I was just like, okay, alt text, so just describing the image, I guess. Like I didn't really, I was working. I didn't really understand or really see the point of these alt text, but these are crucial because a lot of almost 90%, 99% of the websites that I have seen or interacted with have some sort of picture on it. And when someone who is blind and or using or just has a disability that doesn't allow them to see the website or see that image, alt tags and descriptions are essential for them to have a better web page experience. So these are some. These are just some bits and pieces of advice on how we can make good alt descriptions as it relates to web accessibility. So adding alt text on non-decorative images. So this means that sometimes you'll see, at least my web page I know has like different sparkles around it. So those are just decorative images, right? And you'll see even like Global Hack Week stuff, like there's like the little cute like characters around it. Those are decorative images. So alt text should be essential for the non-decorative images, the ones that are actual content on your page. So keeping it short and descriptive, similar like a tweet, and then also not including image of or photo of. So it should just be a description that doesn't say like this is a photo of type of thing. So yeah, so leaving it blank if it's purely decorative, and then it is not necessary to add text in the title field. So yeah, so and just like asking yourself at the end of the day, once you sort of are ready for like deployment or pushing your website, right, do all linked images meaningfully describe their action rather than their appearance? So this is an example of what a alt description of this picture, for example, could look like without context. So this would be like a mostly empty stadium, right? So not really much of a stadium there. Then alt text on page about recent turnout for track tryouts. So this is the Harvard Stadium with two lone runners bounding up the steps. So just a little bit more description, and it really improves the alt text and the description of the picture, so that when people are browsing or users are trying to get information about a certain thing, this is what they're being read to. Okay, yeah, so something else that I wanted to talk a little bit about is coding tips when making an application. So using the correct tags, and this is called Semantic Markup. So you might have noticed people will talk about how someone says they're just div on top of div on top of div, and while if styled correctly, it comes out the way you want it to look, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be accessible for those that aren't necessarily going to have a easier time with making sure that everything looks okay. So, oops, one second. Okay. Yeah, so basically, yeah, using the correct tags. So there's tags like form, video, article, button, and something you may not have even heard of. So we'll go over some, but the left example here is an example of really good semantic markup. So we have a heading that is just an H1 header, a paragraph tag. Paragraph tags are going to be like just for text. We have an ordered list, and you might have seen also UL, unordered list, and then LI, which stands for list item. So that's also just a list as well. H2 is a subheading, right? So then we also have, excuse me, we have paragraphs below that as well. And then we have a second subheading and more text. So everything is really nicely placed in similar fashion of the corresponding headers. Not only that, we can also talk about how we even change wording of certain things. So you can have good semantic markup, but that doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily great or easy for someone to read. So let's take a look at an example here. So whales are really awesome creatures. And then there's a link at the bottom that has, that's probably blue, that says find out more about whales. So that's going to be that website. And then at the bottom here, it says whales are really awesome creatures. To find out more about whales, click here. So that click here is just making it unintuitive for someone that's going to be being read this out loud, right? So if someone isn't clicking, right, so there's really sort of no way to tell where that stops or ends. So something like this at the top would be more better to use than something right here where the link is still the same, but it's unintuitive. Yeah, so all of this is mostly found, a lot of the information that I used for today's first part of the stream is the developer Mozilla docs. They have amazing resources. I learned a lot of CSS on here with these docs. And I'm still learning CSS to this day. So yeah, just learning about accessibility with HTML is this site is just a really great resource for that. Okay. Yes, I think we're done with like the information portion of the stream. I personally think that, yeah, it's really a lot to take in and learn once we're starting to, keep in mind everything about accessibility. But I wanted to show you all how particularly easy it can be for it. So yeah, I'll be sure to also drop this slides link for everyone to access after on my website. And I can go ahead and also make sure that everyone knows where that is. If you've been to my previous streams, you'll know that I used to have another one with a cute domain, but I started my own website, so I've moved on. Yeah, so this is the site. I just dropped it in the chat, and I can also pull it up here. So polka.io is just my last name. And then we have coding streams and all of these. So it'll be under Global Hack Week Social Good Week. Yeah, so this is this page. But yeah, I wanted to quickly talk about how I can just maybe even start creating a website from scratch that is going to be as accessible as I can make it, trying my hardest. But yeah, and how that really changes, I guess, the development process. So I'm going to do just a code sandbox. And feel free to follow along too, or just kind of watch me do it as you go. Yeah, I personally find it really fun to just watch and follow along, but however you all want to approach it today. Yes, so I have this just random empty code sandbox. And if you haven't used code sandbox before, it's basically just like code on the cloud. And it lets you make websites and code and everything on here. let's see. Yeah, so this is what we have so far, and I'm using React. So it's not going to be just plain HTML or CSS, but we'll see how we can continue that. All right, styles. I have changed the font to cheapo just because I really like that one. Let's go ahead and start with changing the background color. I forgot how to do it on Code Sandbox. I think trying to make this with just the screen height. Screen width. All right, so that changed that. I guess I want. Oh, I think I know. I think it didn't work because of that. Alrighty. Okay. Yeah, nice. We have a black background. I thought this would be maybe even something challenging to take on. Let me see if we can do change for all my headers. I want the color to be go like all right, that's a nice pink. I like that. We're going to go ahead and also create a form. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a make a just like another file in here, and this is gonna be called form.js. And then in here, I'm gonna just do like component React. And a thing here. And then let me make this form. And instead of a div now, let's see if we can make that a form. So the closing. Or I'm gonna go to the Mozilla Docs and see and then do like forms. So styling, how to structure a web form. Okay, something like this. All right. Let's go back to my code sandbox. I think, what if I just do text? All right, I'm gonna change this because I can't see. The text is probably all white. Or not. Form from. Okay, cool, yeah. There it is up there now. Wonderful. Oh, she's responsive, okay. Let's make this, or I want this, I guess, at the bottom of my, right there. Yeah, so we'll see here we have the label. I guess I want the label to be on top because this is text input fields. Like that. And then, oh, we'll adjust. We are going to adjust for, I guess, like the CSS styling. Input type text. Placeholder. Remove the name. Or if it doesn't have this. Value. Okay. I think changing this to placeholder. Let's do example LE or JJ. No, we need a full name. LE or Maria, for example. Okay. Cool, swag. We have, let's change our legend to being, get more info. Cool. Label is going to be boarding. Cool. First name. ID first name, placeholder, we got those. Looks good, they need styling, that's okay. And you'll see, I just pressed the tab and that immediately went to this, so you'll see this is its focus state. Also, I think I might even zoom in here. That looks good. website. Okay, let's change this. This is gonna be last name. Smith or Johnson. Last name or last. All right. Okay, changing everything. That looks good. Let's get some CSS styling in here, maybe. The input ID is last name. Oh. Margin what? That's a little too much. 10. And let's do first. Okay. And then now for the inputs. Ooh, if we see here, input, placeholder, we can do, let's say, whatever it is. Ew. Alright, well, we know it works. Oh no. Border's gonna be gray. Oh. Is it a value? Bottom left radius. For PX. Okay. That looks fine to me. Okay. The color for our font, I want to be black. And that's already set there. We can look into set into focus state. And then in here, yeah, input is just focus. Okay. And then select. Wait, let's test this out. Oh, for the select, it's just a different background color. Okay. Great. And then I'm just testing these by pressing my tab key. All right. Input is just going to be focus. So let's go back to here. gonna be blue. Because right now it's currently purple, so I want to be able to change the color. Alright, this still has that purple background. And I don't really want to change the background color. So I'm gonna go ahead and I guess maybe change the background color to be maybe gray then. Oh, that contrast is super bad. That ivory color that they use. Yeah, that looks okay. Hello. Oh, let's change our font in there too. Awesome. So now it changes that as well. Okay, that looks good. We have some sort of focus state that looks okay. Our code also should look fine as well. Awesome. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Let's go ahead and do something else now. We can do some images. I want to add some images to here. So I'm going to look for some off screen right now. Oh, I'll add just like a picture of me in the source folder. Downloads. Oh, I have to pick some pictures of my friends and concert I went to and some food. Okay. Awesome. So now, all right, we'll leave this like form little area, and then I'm gonna go back to app.js, and inside app, let me go ahead and do an image. Oh. Yep, so then you'll see some code editors also have like, oh, like you must have an alt tag. So I'm doing something like that too. And let me go ahead and first put in my picture. I know I can do let me rename this. Oh, I don't even know what this is. Oh, this is food. No, don't delete it. All right, food. Oh, wow, that's wild. I just completely changed that. Food. PNG. Okay, we're back. This is coin.jpg, and this is friends.jpg, I believe. Oh, and this is just me. Wow, that is so low res. Oh, the little edit button doesn't appear. There we go. This is Ellie.png. Okay. Wonderful. So let me do Okay. Source. Me when I use React. Yay, there I am. Oh, this is headshot of Elisa Foca. Putting my name in there. Let's go ahead and add another picture. Oh, I guess let's import them all. So import name from. Import food. PNG. Import friends. .jpeg. Whoa. All right. Let's do coin. So we can do coin the band crowd surfing at Metro Chicago venue, and then close it off. Yes, wow, that is a really big picture. We'll change that for sure. Class. Or I'll just go ahead and change it differently, but okay. I'll go ahead and add now the other pictures that I have. Or I guess I won't add them all at the same time. Yeah. Let's do food. Sushi from Cofusion. Oh, sushi from sushi on a plate from Cofusion Champagne. That's the city I'm from. Okay, and then let's close this off. There is the sushi. It's huge. Save. Okay. Let's go ahead and change maybe some styling so we can see the pictures on their own. This gives little errors. Just do that. With, let's do maybe 100. Okay, wonderful. Let's do, yeah, 2 pixels. Padding left. Sweet. We have now some pictures, and then padding top 2. Let's do that at the top. Awesome. Yeah, looks good. So yeah, and if for any reason the file isn't being able, or like isn't shown, we have all of this here now. Last name is Kelly, oh, tab, Polka. Okay, we're all good. Let's go ahead and make some buttons. I'll make this as a component too. File here. Button dot yes. Oh, I guess let's put this in here. Okay. Let me just copy and paste app again. This into button. And let me do maybe some. Oh, we'll get rid of this. And then not in a div anymore, but we'll make the tag button. And then self-closing. Okay, wonderful. Let me go ahead and also import this into our app.js. And then we'll put this in here. Love, she's so tiny and useless. Okay. I'm gonna go to Mozilla Docs. Oh, not in here. So disabled, no. So type favorite tends to ignore users. That's funny. We'll just its type will just be button. So let's go back here. It's just button. Okay. Accessible names provide information for assistive technology. To give an icon accessible name, put text in the button element that consistently describes the button's functionality. Yeah, okay. So we can also give our button a name. I'll do that, and that'll be, I guess let's think of the purpose for our button at the top. So maybe, or we'll see what this SVG does. All right. Or let's take a look at how this one works in our code sandbox here. Or, oh no, what happened? It says cannot read. Unreachable code. I think it might be this SVG. Okay, we'll get rid of this. Okay, cool. Yeah, what they've done is just made a little with the star. Um, wow, I love when little random things make a make a star. Oh my gosh. Okay, cute. All right, let's see what's okay. How do I make it so that I want to go from here right after the form? Okay. Yes. Okay. It focuses. We're good. Awesome. Yeah. Next will just be styling that focus state. But yeah. All right. We got to see some examples of coding, sort of accessibility style with just an example form, some buttons, pictures, and yeah, I guess hopefully this maybe shows you some examples of how I'd add alt text to images, stuff like that. Yeah, and also just a little React preview too if you haven't seen or used React before. But yeah, I want to thank you all so much for coming to the stream and watching and had a good time. Or this past hour was super fun to hopefully just have learn about code accessibility and design accessibility too. Yeah, and if there are any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to me on either Discord or on Twitter. I'm also on there. You can check that out. Yeah, and I hope everyone had a great time learning about code accessibility. And yes, if there's anything else, I'll be heading out. But thank you all so much, and hope everyone had a great time. And yes, thank you so much. Bye.